Well, hi, hello, and how you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Newsroom, this fun little thing we do where we get together, we talk about the news, we give our views, and we try to make sense out of this crazy thing that we call life. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and as always, I am your host. Um, I am sometimes referred to, if you're not familiar with me, sometimes I'm referred to as the fine fella in the fedora. On occasion, I'm called the beau in the chapeau. Sometimes mentioned as the common man with common sense. But as I said, in this moment, right now, above all else, I am your host. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, as always, do me some favors. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and give a thumbs up for tonight. Leave a comment in chat on both YouTube and Rumble. It really does help with the algorithm. Truly, truly it does. Also, while you're at it, share the link around with your friends and, go crazy. Do all those things that you guys do. Hey, let's have some fun tonight. Let's talk about some stuff that's going on. Let's laugh a little if we can. And, just try and chill. So lots been going on today, folks, but I suppose I should give a recap from the weekend. As has been mentioned by some people, or I may have mentioned myself, this past weekend was my birthday, and it was a great one. I was celebrating with a lady and with friends of mine in Cincinnati, and came back home, had a wonderful, wonderful birthday with my actual family. And it was great. Turned 54, and I look back on it and go, man, it is a miracle you are here, you idiot. You kind of have that moment in your life, that moment of self-realization when you say to yourself, wow, it is really just wow. But yeah, my birthday was good.
Really
Had a
just
whoa, stop talking
wow.
over there. Be quiet, you. Yeah, I had an absolutely wonderful time. A lot of very nice things were done for me. Now, no, all right. Let's put this to bed right now. No, I did not celebrate in my birthday suit. Okay, let's just be very clear about this. There was no celebrating in the birthday suit. Thank you for asking, WWG1. Oh my goodness, this audience. What are you going to do with them? Terrible, I say, terrible. Well, I'm not an old fart yet. Getting closer to being an old fart, but thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Gypsy. I genuinely appreciate that. Yes, there were no birthday suits. Okay. I did not celebrate in my birthday suit, just to let you guys know. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it was a great birthday weekend. And like I said, people were very kind to me. Some of them I've not known for a long time, and I cannot thank them enough for every kindness that was shown to me. And yeah, it was a great time, genuinely a great time. So yeah. Well, yeah, depending on the situation, I'm sure that's probably the case. Some things are better done in one's birthday suit than in others. So yeah, I understand. But yeah, it was a really good time, really great weekend. Had a load of fun, and wait a minute. I tried to send a singing telegram, but Brentley got the singing fat man in a diaper and was confused. Ew, yeah. Okay. Look, I don't know what you're doing when you're typing. I am not going to sit here and pass judgment. That's all I can say. So, oh my gosh, you all are crazy. I love you guys. Anyway, no, we're glad to have you guys here tonight. Lots been going on. I mean, the live stream is going to last for a little while. I wish I had all the time in the world tonight to talk about everything that's been going on, and it's been crazy. There's one subject today we are definitely getting into, which is the vote in Congress today on the release of the Epstein files. And yeah, I'm sure you guys got a lot of different ideas about that, and I really want to get into it. But we will begin, and we will get to the vote. We will get to that discussion about Epstein. But we will start, as is our wont, with wait a minute. Now hold on. What is this? All I saw was WWG1 in birthday suit. Thought the water was fine and jumped in. Well, okay, all right. What? Oh, wow! Wait a minute! This is slander. This is absolute slander. Oh my god! Yeah. Where do you get these ideas, WWG1? I ask you. Oh, just I tell you the truth. I don't know. Anyway, WWG1 and TBA, I swear they had dueling memes going on. They were throwing stuff in fast and furious. And we got a bunch of them today. So let's just dive right in. Then we'll get into our topic of the night. Now, people have observed about me that I have a little bit of obsessive compulsive disorder. I would say to that person, I would say, darling, tag me on this. Tag me in Twitter on this. I want to see this. We will get to it. Throw that in there. Throw that in. Anyway, people have observed of me that I have a little bit of OCD, and I don't disagree with them. Matter of fact, I would argue I have a lot of OCD. I'm being self honest about it. But I've always tried to pinpoint just when did my OCD begin. When was that moment in life that I just got the compulsion to just things be a certain way? And I've never been able to figure it out. I have no idea when it was that I got a bad case of OCD. Never have been able to understand it. But I hope someday, with a lot of discussion with friends, family, maybe professional help, I'll be able to figure out when it was that that I started to develop the case that I have of obsessive compulsive disorder. Because look, I'd really like to know. I really would. So maybe someday I'll be able to figure it out. And I got to get that off the screen right now, or else I'm going to start twitching myself. Anyway. Well, now I know that folks in this audience travel quite a bit, or maybe they used to or don't anymore, but people have traveled. And of course, there are always things that you should take with you when you're going somewhere. And as is the case, you get recommendations about what you should pack in your suitcase or travel bag or whatever it is that you're using to carry your items with you. And these days, you get some really interesting suggestions, especially if you're traveling in Europe. Look, different ways of life, different standards, etc. So what should you pack if you're traveling around Europe these days? Well, someone came up with a really interesting set of suggestions. You should have a power converter. That makes sense. A travel wallet. A travel wallet always makes sense if you're going somewhere, particularly if you're traveling in Europe. Okay. I remember carrying something similar to that many years ago when I traveled in Europe. However, the latest additions to recommended items to have with you for your European travels, you should probably pack a stab vest, and you should probably plan on packing anti-rape underwear. That last one, you talk about a sign of the times. But apparently a stab vest and anti-rape underwear are the newest recommendations for the sophisticated traveler who is going throughout the western part of the European continent. I don't know. Don't ask me. I just report what someone sends to me. I don't necessarily comment on how good it is. Anyway. All right, what else do we have? You know, you've always heard the idea that if only we could clone ourselves, if only we had the ability to clone ourselves, I'd send one person to work. I'd send one person to deal with the spouse and the kids. I'd send one person to deal with the in-laws and the outlaws. I'd send one person to, go to the gym. We always say this. We wish we could clone ourselves. Well, in the case of the senior senator from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, people are starting to wonder if he didn't figure out exactly how to clone himself. I mean, Fetterman or Fettermen. And honestly, I'll tell you what, that picture on the bottom right, that's the best picture of John Fetterman I think I've ever seen. Now, that one on the bottom middle, he looks like Gollum. And the one in the upper right, he looks like a porn star. Um, the one on the top left looks like an angry potato head. But yeah, I mean the pictures truly they do the man justice. They truly do the man justice. But yeah, apparently John Fetterman figured out how to make John Fettermen. Good on him. That's all I'm saying. Good on him. All right. What else do we have out here? Um, you know, we're always told you should never feed the animals. And you know what? After seeing this picture, I begin to understand why. Um, Look at that squirrel. That is a very angry dude. Extremely angry dude. And frankly, it just goes to show you should never, ever, ever feed the animals because this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you could wind up getting right here. Oh boy. TBA says those are all the Fettermans we've had since he was elected to the Senate. Okay, so he's sending the clones down to Washington, D.C. to do the work for him. I don't begrudge the guy. I mean, look, the guy's had health problems in one form or another. He managed to clone himself. Maybe the original's not feeling good one day. Looks at one of the clones and say, "Hey, you go down there." All right, fine. I got no problem with that. No problem with that at all. Well, they used to say that about Joe Biden. Seriously? It's probably not a bad idea, especially if you're dealing with squirrels. I'm saying. Anyway, what else do we have here? You know, individuals in the Middle East have a very unique way of expressing themselves. Okay, all right, before y'all get crazy out there, I'm setting this up. It's going to be a clean joke. Okay, we're not going to get racist here or anything, so just calm down. But people in the Middle East have a very unique way of expressing themselves. And especially when they come up with a way to insult you or wish ill will upon you. Well, somebody forwarded me something today that made me realize just how good Middle Easterners were at placing a curse on you. I mean, for example, I'm sure you guys have heard a variation of this at one time or another, but did you hear the last part of it? May the fleas of 1,000 camels infest the crotch of anyone who tries to screw up your day, and may their arms be too short to scratch. That's not bad, man. I got to remember that one. I really have got to remember that one. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Really is. I mean, I've heard the fleas of 1,000 camels infest your armpits. I've never quite heard that variation of it, but I ain't gonna lie. That's not bad. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. That's your cat? Seriously? So that's your cat. Wait a minute. Are you sure about this? He's holding a cup of coffee, for heaven's sake. How can this possibly be your cat? Your cat drinks coffee straight out the mug? I'll tell you what, if he does that, it's a really talented cat, dude. I'm just saying. The look. Well, I don't know. Well, you may be right. Maybe it is your cat. But not in all seriousness, though. How many cat owners do we have here in the audience tonight who who have a cat that can give you that kind of a look? I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Hey, if looks could kill, that cat would be a serial killer. Or maybe it's better to say serial kitty. Anyway. You can give somebody that look? Oh, okay. Okay. Remind me never to make you mad. Good evening, LL. How you doing tonight? There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Glad to have you in the house. Yeah, I need to say hello to some people. I forgot to do that at the top of the show. We'll get to that momentarily. Well, no, we'll just do it right now before we get back to the memes. Who all's in the house tonight? I know the wing nuts are over there on Rumble. Let's see who else is here. All right. Salty old fart is in the Salty's in the house. Glad to see you, Salty. See who else is here. JL not here. I got your message. I got to respond to it. So sit tight. AH is here in the house. Good evening, AH. Glad to have you. See, Gypsy's here doing her gypsy thing. Dearborn, Michigan is crazy right now, boy. Gosh. Good evening, my dear. Mwah. Let's see who else be here. Let's see who else is here. Anybody else in the house? Oh, they're just slow. They're just being shy at this point. I know they are. Just being a little bit shy. Anybody else? Pate. Hey. Good evening, Pate. As we said, LL Liberty is here. Good evening. Good evening to you. All right. All right, cool. Yeah, come on in, y'all. Settle in. It's going to be an interesting night. Now, you know how you've always heard it said that we should always tell our children that they can grow up to be anything they want to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm starting to rethink that piece of advice. I really am. Frankly, because given the way some of our kids are acting these days, I'm not so sure. And honestly, do you really want to tell your kid that they can grow up to be anything they want to be if they're going to grow up to wind up like this? I mean, yeah. Yep. Like I say, I don't have kids of my own, but I've got great nieces and great nephews. And tell you something, they start growing up to be like that one. Old uncle's going to have words with them. Just saying. Just saying. Goodness me. So yeah, be careful when you tell kids that they can grow up to be anything they want to be. They might wind up like that. All right. What else do we have here? We mentioned it last week. The Treasury of the United States is no longer going to mint the penny. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are no longer going to have pennies in our pockets. You can make an argument we don't even have pennies in our pockets right now, but that's a whole other subject. Wait, well, what are you talking about here? What is this? What are you trying to incite here? Oh my word! Yike! Oh boy. You mean take off the Greta meme? Oh, sorry about that, dear. Yeah. Well, now see, this is a good point. They might wind up like Biden. Good point. Anyway, so we're no longer minting the penny, as you guys are aware. Now, as you might suspect, this is causing various forms of, how do I want to put this, cultural adjustment. I mean, now manufacturers of certain clothing items are trying to get in on the act. For example, since we're no longer going to have penny loafers, apparently we're now going to have nickel loafers. Now, how much more valuable that makes the shoe, I have no idea. But yeah, be on the lookout for and this could be a good Christmas gift item. Seriously, if you have relatives of yours that are in need of new shoes and you're trying to get them something that's, flashy and fashionable and valuable, hey, consider going with the nickel loafer. It's not a bad idea, folks. Well, now that see, but see, if they do that, that makes those shoes even more valuable. I mean, can you just imagine? I mean, not only do you buy a really cool looking pair of shoes, okay? And honestly, if I were you, I'd buy 2 pairs of shoes. One to keep as a collector's item on the day that they, stop making the nickel, and the other, you can just wear for the heck of it. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. It's real close. It's really close in color. Yeah, it does. It really does come off on the tongue sounding that way. I agree with you. I agree completely. So yeah, be on the lookout for the nickel loafer. Hey, oh. One moment, please. It's not an emergency. I'm just very curious. Aw. Got a text from some folk in Cincinnati who are sending me something that's definitely making me smile. It's an inside joke. So cool. All right. What else have we got? There is no ring to nickel loafer. Oh, okay. All right. It's not you. Come on now. Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is all right. Hold on a minute. Hold on a second, folks. I'm being tagged. Holy cow. Oh. Oh boy. Folks, I'm going to interrupt the merry memes for a second. And yikes, this could get bad. Hang on. Gypsy was gracious enough, along with others, but Gypsy in particular, per my request. Apparently, there is a riot that's breaking out or about to break out, but is breaking out apparently out in Dearborn, Michigan. There's a city council meeting tonight. No, you did. I just haven't a chance to see it yet. I did not believe you, but yeah, we're going to pop this up on screen. This is just outside, I guess, city council chambers in Dearborn, Michigan. Let's see what's going on.
Hey, guys, I know.
This is crazy looking.
What's wrong with being 5'2", bitch?
If you're wondering what we're looking at, these are scenes from outside city council meeting in Dearborn, Michigan. All right, now we got the police breaking in here. Okay, I'm with AH on this one. Well, exactly what are they protesting? I'm not saying they're not protesting. I'm not saying nothing. Oh, really? Oh, okay. This is interesting. This is really interesting. Okay, hold on. Let's see what else we got here. Hold on. Just checking something out here. How long does this run? Okay, so this is live. Okay, that's a YouTube straight feed to the city council meeting. Oh, okay, so I mean, is it that some MAGA folks showed up, or what's going on here? I mean, why? So we know that somebody's been arrested. Okay, well, that I've known about for a while, but I guess my question is: are we got some MAGA people who are showing up? Oh, the Christians are protesting the 5 called prayers. Okay, well, that's sort of a reasonable thing, which I can understand. So the context of this is they're having a city council meeting. Some folks showed up to protest the call to prayers. The Muslim population doesn't like the fact that it's happening again. And it's about to get hairy. A conservative person got, arrested, etc. Oh, really? Really? Oh, crap. Okay. That'd be enough to get somebody started. The Dearborn mayor told a Christian preacher he was welcome to leave Dearborn because the preacher doesn't want the call to prayer broadcast over the loudspeakers. Oh, not only did he burn the Koran, he ran slabs of bacon over. Oh, God. Okay. I'm beginning to understand why the Muslim population get just a little bit more than upset. Ooh, see, okay. We're just going to dive into this for while we got on this thing. This was going to happen sooner or later. Okay. 5 calls to prayer blasted over loudspeakers at various hours of the day. This was going to happen sooner or later. Okay, so you heard this. You heard the same thing about the bacon. Okay. Oh my God. Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, this is not good. Not good at all. Oh, okay. Hang on. We got some more here. Gypsy just sent me something else. Hold on a second, folks. One moment, please. This is getting good. Hang on. This is from. Okay, hang on a minute. This is another clip. This is from Frontlines USA. Let me get this pulled up here. Yeah. If you're wondering what we're looking at,
There's a lie. You're behind him. Guys, form a line. Form a line. I need you guys to form a line.
Behind me, single file. Behind me. Single file.
Listen up. Hold on.
The Muslims love Andy.
Listen up.
Yes, they do. We love them.
Hold on. Listen. Make a line. You will not enter until you form a line. There'll be no sign. No draw.
oh, this is okay now. Okay, so I got a question. This is happening tonight, right now, in Dearborn. Am I understanding that correctly? I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. This is going on now, live, even as we speak. Holy yikes. Yikes. Yeah. Oh, boy. Let's see. Dearborn PD are attempting to escort Jake Lang and others into the Dearborn administration. Holy cow. See, this, I think it was last night. I saw these videos earlier today. Okay. So these were last night. This was going to happen sooner or later. Oh, no, it is happening right now. Okay. Yikes. Holy cow. This is going to happen sooner or later, folks. You cannot take two religions and their cultural ramifications, in other words, lifestyles, practices, etc., put them in the same area and not expect this is going to happen sooner or later. Oh, okay. So for sure it is right now. Holy cow. Oh, man. Trying to see what else have we got here. We got Chance Alu Akbar. We got, oh my gosh. Hang on. We got some more. We got some more clips, or at least a couple more anyway. And you know me, I'll put them up there. One second, folks. Let me get this set up for you guys. Again, these, and it's gotten so bad they put up barricades between the Muslims and the Christians. Here's another clip, and it runs about 40 seconds from Dearborn, Michigan tonight.
I don't want to get close. I can't hear you. I don't want to get close to you. I don't trust you.
That's a good idea, buddy.
We are deep in
They're talking about hanging me now.
We respect your religion. We respect everything, but get the fuck out.
Oh boy, this is about to get into. You know, TBA, that's a really great point. That's a really great point. Well, if anyone had any doubts about if a third world religion could coexist in the West, here's your answer. Yeah, you're getting no argument from me. You're getting no argument from me at all, my dear. None. Holy cow. Folks, pray for the folks up in Dearborn, Michigan, and I mean this on both sides, because this powder keg is about to go off. I got no idea. I got nothing for that one. Absolutely nothing. I mean, look, if you guys get updated information about this, let me know, because this is, holy cow. This is about to get ugly. It wouldn't take much right now for this to just blow up. It would not indeed. It would not take much at all. Hang on a minute. March against California, you see it from. Ooh, I mean, it really wouldn't take much for. I mean, it's very tense up there right now. This could make it even worse. So, just saying. Just saying, indeed. This could get really bad. Oh, that's awful. I'm trying to think of how to turn that into a joke, and I can't do it. Oh, jeez. You got me, brother. I have no idea. I have no idea at all. Wait a minute. What is it? Oh, heavens to anyway. Folks, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Keep an eye on that. And if we get more updated information throughout the night, let me know. Tag me on Twitter. I'll put whatever updates you send up there. Because, look, I'm getting older. Will you give me a break? Jeez. I just had a birthday, for heaven's sake. Anyway, in all seriousness, if we get any further updates about what's going on right now up in Dearborn, let me know. Tag me on Twitter. We'll take a look at it, because I'm not kidding. This is about to get out of hand fast. Just fast. Real fast. Anyway, you know what? I'm saving the rest of these memes for Thursday night a couple of them anyway. There's some memes that I will go ahead and do right now because they lead right into our main topic of the evening. And some of them just sort of speak for themselves. So I'm just going to pop these straight up here. The Democrats have been saying all this time, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. Well, they got it, and now they may be about to get it. I will explain what I'm getting at a little bit later on. But great cartoon by the penman Margolis and Cox. That's pretty good. That one is pretty good. And we also have this one. Well, not quite yet, but we'll get to that. Hold that thought, TBA, because we're gonna get into this. Well, but see, the worst part about it is for the Democrats, it's too late. They were screaming all this time, release the files, release the files, release the files. Well, now we've released the files, and hey, now you're going to get what you asked for. And then one last one, and this is more a message for Pam Bondi and also the hope of many different people. And it goes something like this. Well, funny, but actually, unless there's something I'm not realizing, but I've heard, according to reports, no Democrats voted against it. At least it's my understanding anyway. All right. As always, much thanks to WWG1, much thanks to TBA, much thanks to everyone who's contributed memes. And as always, please, if you have a meme or even a story, as you see, you tag me on something, you tell me about it, we'll take a look at it. We're keeping an eye on this situation up in Dearborn, Michigan, which, like I said, has the potential to get really out of hand really fast. So, but yeah, if you've got a story or you've got a meme or you got whatever, right down here, this is where you can find me on Twitter. Tag me at the Front Porch C1. Let me know you sent me a message, and we'll talk about it, or we'll put it up on screen. Now, the host always reserves the right to use or not use what is sent, but more often than not, you send me something, it finds its way up here. So, all right, let's get into it, folks. Ever since April of this year, 2 words have... no, not Goatborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan. Ay, ay, ay. How you doing, Scott? Good to have you here, brother. All right. Two words have haunted the Trump administration more than it ever should have: Epstein files. Pam Bondi absolutely screwed up how it was handled. Trump has screwed it up even more. People have been saying, release the files, release the files. Trump says, release the files. And he says it's nothing but a hoax. If you do want it released, you're not part of MAGA. Trump's out there attacking, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, calls her Marjorie Trader Greene. And finally, it reached a head. And it finally reached a head when the newly elected Democrat out of Arizona signed off to become the 218th person on a discharge petition, a very rarely invoked procedure in the House that forces a vote on something to the floor. And that leads us into our topic of the night, the Congress's vote on the Epstein file release from thehill.com. House overwhelmingly votes to release Epstein files. Article by Emily Brooks and Mike Lillis. We have the following. Dateline, Washington, D.C. The House on Tuesday voted overwhelmingly to pass a bill directing the Department of Justice to release the files related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a move that came after months of intense opposition from President Trump and GOP leaders. The vote was a lopsided 427-1, with Representative Clay Higgins casting the lone no vote, but that tally belied months of fierce fighting, both between the parties and within the GOP that preceded it. Over the weekend, after it was clear many Republicans would vote for the measure, Trump abruptly reversed himself and saying he supported, writing on Truth Social that, quote, it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetuated by radical left lunatics. And while Speaker Mike Johnson ended up voting for the measure as a way to show support for maximum transparency, he expressed reservations about the bill's handling of sensitive information about victims and urged the Senate to amend the legislation. Johnson, Democrats argued, were forcing a political show vote on the Epstein files. All right, let's get into this. I have never seen in all my life a president or his party. No, I'm not even going to lay this onto the Republicans. I'm not even going to do that. I've never seen one person, in this case, Donald Trump, so badly mangle and mismanage the handling of an issue that should have been a gold-plated winner for him. Now, what am I talking about? Okay, let's just be honest about it. Jeffrey Epstein, alive or dead, has all the popularity of venereal disease. Okay? He is and was a bottom-feeding scum sucker. Okay? I've often said there are some people who should be introduced face first to a wood chipper. If Epstein were alive, I'd argue he'd probably be the first person I'd let him go face first with. Okay? Oh, brother, that is a great way of putting it. A great way of putting it. There's nothing about Jeffrey Epstein, in my mind, redeemable in any context you want to talk about him. And when it comes to the Epstein files, this should have been a no-brainer victory for Trump. Lord knows he's been talking about Jeffrey Epstein since 2015. Release everything in the files and be done with it. Trump, for some reason, either he was convinced, not just my opinion, Trump got convinced that there was something in those files that would be detrimental to him personally, just absolutely doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on not releasing them, and then not only choosing not to release them after he said he would, he starts insulting his own base of voters, okay, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen done. Look, if you don't want to release the files and break your word, all right, that's bad. That's one thing. To go about the business of insulting your own voters doing it, that's even worse. Okay? But he did it. And between that and other foreign policy misadventures, particularly the bombing in Iran, or I should say the bombing of the Iranian nuclear facilities, his presidency started going off the rails. Now, has he got time to turn it around? Sure. Is it going to be enough to save him in the midterms? I kind of doubt it, because the damage, in my mind, may already be done. Okay. But there's a lot of people who ought to be given credit here. But to me, the one person above all else who ought to take the glory for today is Thomas Massie, Republican congressman from Kentucky. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Tons of damage. I mean, Trump basically walked up to the side of his boat, pushed a button, and shot a torpedo into it by himself. Okay? I mean, and like I said, Trump and his people are going to try and do a lot of different things between now and next November to stave off what's coming. I don't think it's going to work. I think the Democrats are going to take the House. Good possibility they take the Senate too. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but the Democrats have a shot at it. As bad and as toxic as the environment is right now for Republicans, it wouldn't surprise me if the Democrats take the Senate too. It really wouldn't. Well, okay. And if that was the case, could he not at least explain that? He kept calling it a hoax. He kept saying the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Yeah. I love Trump, but there are moments when he just cannot communicate or doesn't slow down long enough to communicate. What happened to those young ladies in South Florida and on Epstein Island was no hoax. Matter of fact, we've got some clips from some of the Jeffrey Epstein survivors. We're going to play them here in a little bit. But give Thomas Massie a lot of credit. He kept pushing this. He put the discharge petition out there. Republicans signed on to it. Democrats signed on to it. And finally, they got one last member of the House, and it forced the vote. Now, I want to go and show you a clip from Mike Johnson. This was before the vote in the House was taken. And Mike Johnson made one last plea to try to get the House not to vote for the bill that would release the Epstein files. But it's one of the reasons that he gives that I want to focus on for a minute. Listen to this.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies.
Whoa, hold it. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Declassify materials originated in other intelligence agencies. Hold on a second. I thought all this thing about Jeffrey Epstein involved him trafficking underage girls. I thought this was tawdry sex, which, believe me, is scummy enough, okay? I'm not trying to justify anything that Epstein did. Like I said, if anybody ought to get introduced to the front end of a wood chipper face first, it ought to have been Jeffrey Epstein. But wait a second. I thought all of this had to do with sex with underage girls, trafficking of underage girls, etc. Why are we even having a discussion about intelligence agencies, declassified documents? Wait a second. Are we implying Are we implying that Jeffrey Epstein had anything to do with the intelligence community? Well, I mean, heck, I want to play this again because I want the full weight of this to sink in. Listen very carefully to what he says.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns, okay? The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest and always has rested with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies, in intelligence agencies.
Why would there be other materials about Jeffrey Epstein in other agencies of the federal government other than DOJ? Are we implying that there's material over at the NSA? Are we implying there's material that's going to come out of the CIA? What exactly are we saying here? Now, I know you guys are listening to me and you're scratching your heads going, well, Brian, of course, everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein was some kind of intelligence operative. Okay. Well, yeah, it's a weird deflection. It's a weird justification for why you shouldn't vote for the bill. But he's basically confessing to what everybody has suspected or known about Jeffrey Epstein for years. This guy was an intelligence asset. He was on somebody's payroll. If Speaker Mike Johnson is having to worry about the declassification of documents coming from U.S. intelligence agencies as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein, then that sort of presupposes that Jeffrey Epstein had something to do with American intelligence agencies. I'll take it one step further. I got a clip here from Tucker Carlson. He had a guest on his show. This clip runs a little bit long. I'll stop it where I feel I need to. But folks, listen to this.
The people don't matter in this case.
Man, I think this, for a bunch of reasons, it's so obvious. It is salacious. People have followed it for years. The president promised to reveal the truth about this. Pam Bondi, as you said, went on television and said, we have the truth and we're going to give it to you.
Yes.
I think this is a big deal. It's a really big deal. It's bigger. So. I hope so too, actually. So let's just assess this logically. They're covering up. The DOJ, the current DOJ under Pam Bondi is covering up crimes, very serious crimes by their own description. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
So there are really only two potential explanations that I can think of. Maybe you've got another. The first is that Trump is involved, that, Trump is on the list, that they've got tape of Trump doing something awful. I don't believe that for two reasons. One, I've talked to Trump about it a lot. And I know him. He's not that, for whatever his sins. I don't think he's that guy, actually. I don't think he likes creepy sex stuff. That's just my view. But more, I think, convincing is that this is all information that the Biden administration had. And if there was evidence that Trump had been involved in illegal sexual activity, you think the people who made up Russiagate wouldn't have leaked it?
Right.
Come on now. So the only other explanation that I can think of, again, maybe you've got another, is that intel services are at the very center of this story, U.S. and Israeli, and they're being protected. I think that seems like the most plausible.
That's the most obvious. If you have a history of this, there have been multiple documented cases of pedophilia inside of the CIA perpetrated by CIA officers, documented that in many of those cases, I believe over a dozen cases, this was a BuzzFeed news piece years back, where the CIA specifically did not want to prosecute those individuals in federal court for fear that they would reveal sources and methods if they were pulled into open court. And they basically just made it go away. The only time they actually prosecuted somebody for child pornography was whenever he'd already being prosecuted for mishandling classified information.
Well, when they want to crush you, they put kiddie porn in your computer. It's why I don't have a computer.
It has no,
don't own one.
If you're an important person, you should be careful.
No
And
computer in my house.
this is an important thing, though, is that we already have documented cases of them covering this up. With, I believe, the CIA Inspector General, I forget the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, "You wouldn't even believe the amount of child porn, that I've seen while I'm on this job." I mean, these are depraved. Look, I mean, it's a large organization, a small percentage of the U.S. We can make that argument. I think there is like something pathological, kind of in the minds of the people who excel in this type of environment.
Of course, it's based on what?
Ladies and gentlemen, I know I ran that clip a little bit longer than I probably should have, and I apologize. But I thought it might be useful to hear the whole thing. If the worry was that Trump was or was not on the Epstein file somewhere, which, I mean, and I think Tucker Carlson's absolutely right. Those files were in the possession of the Biden administration for 4 years. If there was anything, and I mean anything, in the Epstein files that would have been damaging to Trump politically, financially, or otherwise, don't you think that Biden and his minions would have already released it? The fact that they didn't says more about what Trump is not than what he is. The fact that none of that stuff was released during Biden's time says Trump is not associated with Epstein. Oh, only at the peripheral edges, maybe distant associations. But the fact that nobody, including Pam Bondi's Justice Department, is releasing this, if you're not releasing it because of the fear of what it would do to Trump, then I think Tucker Carlson's absolutely right. There's only one other logical reason why you don't release this stuff. And that is you're trying to cover up for somebody. Now, to listen to Congressman Thomas Massey or MTG or others talk about this, they'll argue, well, you're trying to protect your rich buddies. I ain't buying that. I ain't buying it. Somebody's trying to protect someone or someone's in the intelligence agencies. Our intelligence agencies. Possibly even Israeli intelligence agencies. Or somebody's intelligence agency around the world. One last clip related to this. Congressman Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, his co-sponsor for the Epstein bill, were being interviewed by Anderson Cooper. Check out what they've got to say.
Congressman Massey, is it clear to you why, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, when they were podcasters, were saying one thing, and then when they got in power and in a position to actually see things and release things with the president's approval, they suddenly were singing a different tune? Do you know why?
Well, the vice president and the attorney general made the same about face after they got into office. I have always maintained that it's not because Trump is in these files that he doesn't want them released. I've thought that he's trying to protect rich and powerful friends of his who may not even be partisan. They may be above Republican or Democrat because they're billionaires and they figure they can pay off whatever judge or whatever party's in power. But I wonder why Kash Patel and Dan Bongino had a change of heart. Maybe, and this is what I believe, it's because it implicates our own intelligence agencies and those abroad. Maybe they've been in a skiff and they've heard things and they've decided that this wouldn't be good for national security. But if that's the case, we need to know.
And that's a legitimate point. The Epstein files is about so many different things. Okay? So many different things. It's about justice. It's about transparency. It's about a reckoning. It is about, hopefully, evildoers receiving the justice that they so richly deserve. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. But Massey's right. We need to know. I mean, look, for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein who are still alive, they need some kind of resolution. emotionally, in all kinds of different ways. But beyond the question of what Epstein did or did not do, there needs to be a very frank discussion among we, the American family. Okay. A very frank discussion about who this guy was, what he was doing, and why. Now, I don't mean the acts that he was accused of, found guilty of, went to prison for, etc. That's not what I'm talking about. When I say the things he was doing, if this guy was somehow an intelligence asset, either on our behalf or on behalf of somebody else, we need to have this needs to be laid bare before the American people and let them in their righteousness decide what to do about it. If, as many people suspect, Epstein was running a blackmail operation now for that island down there in the Caribbean, we need to know about it. Who's being blackmailed? What were they being blackmailed with? I mean, the files are just a very small part of it. Where are all the tapes? Where are all, I mean, when his home was raided up in New York City, supposedly field officers were taking truckloads of material out of there. Where is it? What's on it? Who's on it? I mean, maybe I'm being naive, and probably I am. But by the same token, can we please have an honest discussion about what the heck is going on around here? I mean, we are the American people. We've got our faults, but we're adults. Let's have, what was this guy? Who was he? What was he? Who was he working for? Who wasn't he working for? What was he doing? Was this some kind of a honeypot operation? A blackmail ring? Who knows? That's why I don't know about anybody else. For my part, that's why I want the transparency. Let's find out. And then having the knowledge, let's figure out what we want to do from there to hopefully make sure somebody like Jeffrey Epstein never happens again. I mean, I don't want this stuff laid out there for the salaciousness of it. I don't want the victims to feel any more pain than what they've already felt. I want to know who and what this guy was, so that hopefully it helps not only, us individually, but it helps us as a country decide what we want to do and make sure we don't run into somebody like this guy again. I mean, call me crazy if you wish. Now, what was in the bill? Well, here are the specifics. Here's what it does. And this is from NBC News. The bill would require the Attorney General to release in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials related to Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, flight logs or travel records, people and entities connected with Epstein, and internal emails, notes, or other internal Justice Department communications. Those records would need to be released not later than 30 days after enactment of the law. The legislation says the Attorney General may withhold or redact any information that identifies victims or would jeopardize an active federal investigation. Okay. That's what it does. I don't think the bill goes far enough. To me, forget unclassified material. I want everything. If there's stuff sitting over at the CIA, put it out there. NSA, put it out there. Department of National Intelligence, put it out there. Yeah, and this is what worries me, Next Pharaoh. This is what worries me a lot. Pam Bondi has got every reason in the world to try to cover this thing up. I think. Did I save that clip? Hang on a minute. I got to find something here. Because there are people who are already worried that, oh, please tell me I saved this clip. Come on, hang on. Hang on. I can find this real fast. 1 second, please. Yeah, here it is. Somebody made a comment. I think it was Next Pharaoh earlier that redactions, I believe is how he put it. Well, Next Pharaoh also made the comment, all of this is on the AG to find out. Somebody made a really good point, and it was Jeffrey Epstein's own brother. This is from News Nation the other night. Folks, listen to this.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
Now, he could be dead wrong for all I know. But keep in mind, the Attorney General has 30 days to release the material. That's 30 days with the potential to start redacting names of people you don't want out there. And if Pam Bondi is politically stupid enough to start doing that, then she is going to take an already bad situation for the Trump administration and make it even worse. Look, Trump backed himself into a corner with this whole Epstein thing. He mishandled it from the start. Okay? Oh, and this is the point. If there's any redactions at all, people are going to get even more suspicious about Trump or what he did or did not know or did not do. Now is not the time to be redacting anything. Put it all out there. Just let it all hang out. It's the only way to salvage anything good politically out of this situation. Because it's been so mishandled from the start. Not my idea. This comes from the mind of Robert Barnes. If Trump had ordered Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, John Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA, to turn everything over to Tulsi Gabbard, well, no, not the victims' names. I'll make an exception for that. Okay? I'll make an exception for that. Short of the victims' names, if Trump had ordered Bondi, Patel, and John Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA, to turn everything they've got over to Tulsi Gabbard, let her scrub the files. In other words, stuff that's garbage, not true, shove it off to one side and give a pure, unfiltered, unadulterated account of what's in those files, this never would have been an issue. All right. What am I going to do with it? Well, to answer your question, what am I going to do with it? I don't know. I will consider it. I'll weigh it. Probably talk about it, depending on what it is. That's my answer to the question. But like I said, I'm not necessarily wanting the information released for its salacious or anything else. I just think the American people have a right to know. What was this man? What was he? Who was he associated with? Did those people who he were associated with, did they engage in the same kind of actions he did? Should they be prosecuted? If they're not going to be prosecuted, why are they not going to be prosecuted? Who are they connected with? I just think the American people have a complete and absolute right to know. So what would I do with the information? Don't know exactly. For sure, I'd probably be talking about it. We already know how many horrible people walk in positions of power, yet we do nothing. All right, that's a fair point. Completely fair point. But what if, and again, no, and I appreciate that. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But let me posit this idea. What if people maybe who are not familiar with the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga, or what he did or what he didn't do, or who he was associated with, or who was affiliated with him, what if they find out and maybe, and again, this is a long shot, given the American people, I grant you that, but what if it actually forces some real change? Now, if it doesn't, well, okay, that says a whole lot more about us, the American people, than it does about, the lack of character of one Jeffrey Epstein. I'm just saying, I think it would be healthy for the American people to know as much as possible. And then from there, if they want to do something about it, they can. But they can't do anything if they don't know. Yeah, a lot of people know about this. But what is a lot? Is it 10% of the American people, 20% of the American people? No, let's just put it out there for everybody. If they want to avail themselves of the information, they can. Fair point. Yeah, that's where I come down on this. Yeah. All right, a few more clips about this from the debate on the floor of the House. There's a lot of things you can say about Thomas Massie. There are a lot of things you can say about Thomas Massie. All of them would be completely and absolutely legitimate. But on this day, Thomas Massie lived up to his reputation for being a very effective congressman and eloquent to his position. I got a couple of clips from the floor of the House.
Decades. That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men in handcuffs being perp-walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up. Decades. That is wrong.
One more from Thomas Massie. And by the way, his comment about not messing it up. Oh, I'm sorry. I clipped the same thing. Well, he got his wish about 3 hours after the House passed the bill. Senate unanimously approves bill to force release of Epstein files by Alexander Bolton. Senate agreed by unanimous consent Tuesday to approve a House-passed bill to require the Justice Department to release all unclassified records and documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, send the bill to Trump's desk for a signature. And I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. I'm shocked. I honestly expected the Senate, somebody, to try to gum up the works. I really did. No, they didn't mess it up. They didn't. They actually acted with intelligence. I mean, look, lay aside how somebody doesn't feel about the release of the Epstein files. From their position, this thing had reached the point where it was like a runaway train going downhill. If you're a U.S. senator, you do not want to get in front of this thing. And they all had the good sense to just go like, yep, we're getting it out of here. So yeah, it's on its way to Trump's desk. I'd say he'll probably sign it tonight. Or maybe first thing in the morning. Yeah, that's a good point, my friend. That's a very good point. Probably shouldn't have done that. I got a couple of statements from the victims, survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's one of them.
It is also not a hoax. We are here as American survivors of a man who used his wealth and power to hurt young girls and women. The world should see the files to know who Jeffrey Epstein was and how the system catered to him and failed us. Emotionally, this process has been distressing. First, the administration said it would release everything and applauded President Trump for that. Then it fought to release nothing. Now that checks and balances of our democracy have worked and the bill is getting passed to release the files, we are hearing the administration say they intend to investigate various Democrats who were friends with Epstein. I beg you, President Trump, please stop making this political. It is not about you, President Trump. You are our president. Please start acting like it. Show some class, show some real leadership, show that you actually care about the people other than yourself. I voted for you, but your behavior on this issue has been a national embarrassment. It is time to take the honest, moral ground and support the release of these files, not to weaponize pieces of the files against random political enemies that did nothing wrong, but to understand who Epstein's friends were, who covered for him, what financial institutions allowed his trafficking to continue, who knew what he was doing, but was too much of a coward to do anything about it.
Can't disagree with the words she said. And like I say, Trump could have handled this so much differently and so much better. One more clip from the Epstein survivors. Oh, yeah, I agree with that. But I also wholeheartedly agree with this. That's a good point, WWG1. That's a real good point. Anyway, another of Epstein's survivors with a statement. Here we go.
And for too long, truth has been buried, survivors have been silenced, and powerful people have been protected. And today we stand in a moment that will decide whether our government still belongs to the American people or to those who prey on them. Because when mountains of evidence and decades of victim reports across 5 administrations still lead to sweetheart deals or no prosecution at all, this isn't just one case gone wrong. It's an institutional failure on a historic scale, and every member of Congress in this administration must answer for that failure.
Great points. Absolutely great points. Can't disagree with any of it. One last thought on this whole thing, and I'm not going to play all of this, but Democrats have been trying to use the Epstein file release to hurt Trump. What if they have done that to their own disadvantage? From this morning's two-way with Mark Halperin, Sean Spicer, and Dan Turturin.
What's John Thune going to do? Let's skip over an overwhelming House vote. Will John Thune take this up? There are very few Republican senators on the record in favor of it, as best I can tell. The gentleman from Missouri is an exception because he's often an exception. But what do you expect happens now in the Senate once the House passes this?
Well, I think it's interesting because we all assume that Trump did not want it out. Therefore, if he lost the House, he would go to the Senate and try to get it buried. But if he's calling for it to be released, now the problem is, what do Republicans like? Do most of your base wants it out. So I now think maybe it will come out. I think maybe the Senate will vote for it eventually. They'll put it on something.
Yeah. So Sean Dan says eventually, but will Thune dick around and kind of try to get a sense of things, or will just instantly say there's going to be a vote?
So if I were John Thune, I would take the bird in hand and just say, Mr. President, if you gave me the green light, I am announcing that as soon as this passes, I mean, you might as well go.
Well, but you sure the president wants that? He didn't mention this. I'm serious. It's possible that he thinks he can bottle it up in the Senate.
Well, right? that's the issue. They just, if he's got to figure out where he stands right away.
Yeah.
Because he's either got to bury this thing and then that's it, but he can't go back and forth a little because his members are going to want to know know how the message is.
I mean, what's just so bizarre is like you're literally twisting arms of individual members, threatening them with primaries, calling people in the Situation Room, and then you're like, we should vote for it. We have nothing to hide. Let it out.
That's why we call it a 180.
I got to tell you though, here's the thing. Always in the back of my mind. Remember who controls the release, right? DOJ is going to determine what gets out, and if I were Democrats right now, I'd be very, very worried about who's on that list and what's about to come out.
Only one.
And that's a great point. I mean, like I said, for months, the Democrats have been beating Trump over the head with this, and Trump handed them the club to do it with. But then again, did they really think it would get this far? So, all right, Trump signs it. The clock starts ticking. They got 30 days. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and bring this train into the station. Thank you guys ever so very much for hanging out with me for a little while tonight. Always appreciate it. By the way, Front Porch Brunch is on for this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. We're doing a brunch. So set your clocks, set your alarms, write it on your calendars. Put it on your books, whatever you got to do. But this Saturday morning, we're doing a brunch and looking forward to it. So 30 days puts us 3i Atlas encounter the third. Well, yeah, true that. Yeah, we're doing a brunch. We're doing a brunch. Yes, we're going to do a brunch, my friends. Well, thank you. So, yeah, thanks for hanging out with me for a little while tonight and taking a dive into what happened today in the news. Always glad to see. Don't forget, hit the thumbs up on your way out. I'd greatly appreciate it. While you're at it, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. We'd really do appreciate that. And we'll be back 7 o'clock this Thursday night. Love you guys very much. Have a great rest of your day or evening, as the case may be. Oh, now, it hasn't been that long. Egads. It hasn't been that long. It's that thing we do on Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. Anyway, love you guys very much. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for everything you do to make the show fun. Thanks for all the comments, the chat, the memes, everything else. You guys are totally awesome. And as we depart, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money. Love you guys very much. See you 7 o'clock Thursday night. Bye.